The hidden truth about the Garden of Eden finally revealed.
This, and then wait to see whether they found the real Garden of Eden.
For thousands of years, it was just a story, a paradise lost, a garden hidden beyond time. But now, scientists, explorers, and even world governments are quietly uncovering evidence that could change everything we thought we knew about the beginning of humanity. In August 2025, new satellite images revealed something buried deep beneath the sands between the Tigris and Euphrates, an ancient riverbed perfectly matching the description in the book of Genesis. At the same time, strange atmospheric anomalies appeared over the Persian Gulf, and deep-sea scans detected structures that should not exist under the ocean floor. Could this be the place where creation began, where God walked with man? We're not talking about speculation. We're talking about coordinates, artifacts, and even plant life that until now only existed in the pages of Scripture. And the timing of these discoveries? It's shaking Bible scholars to their core, because every sign lines up with the final chapters of prophecy. What you're about to hear will take you from the ancient rivers of Eden to the modern laboratories decoding its secrets, and to the warnings of Jesus himself about the last days. If the Garden of Eden has truly been found, then what happens next will affect every soul on earth. It began quietly. No breaking news alert, no front-page headline, just a handful of scientists staring at their monitors in disbelief. In early August 2025, satellite data from the European Space Agency detected an anomaly over southern Iraq, a shimmering distortion in the atmosphere. It wasn't heat haze, and it wasn't a storm. The readings showed a unique light spectrum, the kind that happens when sunlight reflects off large bodies of water. Except this was in the middle of desert land where no lakes exist. Digging deeper, researchers mapped the anomaly to an ancient riverbed stretching toward the Persian Gulf. When they overlaid it with geological data, the path aligned perfectly with the description in Genesis, the river Pishon, said to flow through the land of Havilah, where there is gold. At the same time, deep-sea scans in the northern Persian Gulf revealed something even more shocking: stone formations that match the layout of ancient Mesopotamian gardens. These weren't random rocks. They were arranged in perfect squares and channels, irrigation designs far too advanced for their supposed age. But here's where it gets strange. Locals in the nearby marshes reported an unusual fragrance in the air, a sweet, floral scent that didn't match any known plant in the area. Botanists who investigated found pollen traces belonging to a plant species thought to be extinct for over 4,000 years. Its genetic markers were eerily similar to the plants described in ancient texts as growing in Eden. Could it be that the land has been preserved, hidden until this exact moment in history? And why now? Why are the rivers revealing themselves, and the earth giving up secrets it has held since the dawn of man? Some believe it's just coincidence, but others see it as a sign, a reminder that what was lost will soon be restored, but only after the final battle foretold in Scripture. By mid-August 2025, whispers of the discovery began leaking online. Blurry satellite images, vague blog posts, a few scattered TikTok videos claiming the Garden of Eden has been found. Most were ignored or ridiculed, But those who knew what they were looking at could see the truth hiding in plain sight. Then came the blackout. The European Space Agency suddenly restricted public access to certain high-resolution images over southern Iraq and the Persian Gulf. Data that was free to download 1 week required special government clearance the next. No explanation, no press release. Insiders say the coordinates, the exact location of the suspected Eden site, are now in the hands of a closed group of archaeologists, military intelligence, and high-ranking officials from multiple countries. Why such secrecy? Why the sudden urgency? One theory is control. If Eden is real, its discovery could reshape global religion, history, and even political power. Entire belief systems could be validated or shaken. Pilgrimages would flood the region. Nations might claim ownership over what is considered humanity's first home. But there's another darker possibility. According to leaked documents shared with investigative journalists in August 2025, the underground chambers near the suspected Eden site contain metallic artifacts, objects that don't match any known Mesopotamian civilization. The reports describe them as pure, untarnished gold with inscriptions not of human origin. Could these be the relics from before the fall of man, the tools or weapons of a perfect world? Yet, instead of revealing the truth, world powers are digging deeper in silence. The area has been declared a restricted military zone. Drone flights are intercepted. Local fishermen in the northern Gulf have been warned to stay away for safety reasons. If this is truly Eden, then it appears humanity will not be allowed to see it, not yet. The question is, who decides when we are ready? The Bible begins with Eden and ends with a garden restored. Revelation 22 describes a river flowing from the throne of God and the tree of life giving fruit for the healing of nations. But between Genesis and Revelation is a story of loss, exile, and redemption. Now, if the Garden of Eden has truly been found in our generation, it may not just be an archaeological triumph, it may be a warning, a divine countdown. In Genesis 3:24, God placed cherubim and a flaming sword to guard the way to the tree of life. That was the last time humanity stood at its gates. Thousands of years later, prophets like Ezekiel and John were given visions of a future where those gates would open again, but only after judgment. The August 2025 reports speak of a lush underground ecosystem, untouched by human hands for millennia, sustained by a spring so pure it contains no trace of modern pollution. A river that scientists can't trace to any external source, a tree root system that runs deeper than any known on Earth. Could this be the remnant of Eden's life-giving waters? And yet, the nations hide it. The artifacts are locked away, the coordinates erased from public maps. What could be so dangerous about the place where creation began, unless its discovery marks a prophetic moment that was never meant to be handled by corrupt hands? Jesus warned in Matthew 24 that before his return, knowledge would increase and secrets long hidden would be revealed. Daniel wrote that in the final days the wise would understand, but the wicked would not. So here's the chilling thought. Maybe Eden is not just a location, maybe it's a clock. And once the world finds it, the countdown begins. Something strange happened after the August 2025 excavation team entered the suspected Eden site. Scientists were prepared for soil samples, carbon dating, and botanical mapping, but they were not prepared for the signs. First came the weather.
Local farmers just miles from the site reported rain falling in perfect circles, as if the heavens were watering only specific patches of land. Satellite images confirmed it, small isolated rain clouds appearing over nothing but dry desert. Then came the river anomaly. The underground spring inside the cavern kept overflowing, yet the water level never dropped. Hydrologists tested it for contaminants. None. Tested for mineral origin. No match to any source in the region. It was as if the water had no earthly origin at all. By September 2025, residents in nearby villages began speaking in hushed tones about the light, a glowing mist that hovered over the excavation site at night. Security footage from a restricted research drone captured a pale golden haze moving against the wind. It wasn't dust, it wasn't fog. It pulsed, almost like it was alive. One archaeologist, who later broke his NDA, claimed that inside the chamber there was a massive tree root unlike anything known to science, thicker than an ancient sequoia, yet still alive. Its bark gave off a faint fragrance, and when touched, the skin tingled as if charged with static. He whispered the words, "Tree of Life." But perhaps the most unsettling sign came in October. A linguistics expert found inscriptions near the cavern entrance, not Sumerian, not Akkadian. They were in an unknown script, but when translated phonetically, they matched words found only in ancient Hebrew prophecy. The gate shall open when the appointed hour comes. Coincidence? Or the fulfillment of a warning written long before man's technology could ever uncover Eden again? Prophecy is not a puzzle for scholars alone. It is a living, breathing timeline, and the events unfolding around the suspected Garden of Eden site in 2025 may be the next link in that chain. In Ezekiel 47, the prophet describes a river flowing from the temple of God, water so pure that it heals everything it touches. In Revelation 22, John speaks of the tree of life standing in the midst of a garden whose leaves are for the healing of the nations. Now, halfway across the world, scientists are watching a river with no earthly source and a tree root that refuses to die. But prophecy rarely happens in isolation. In August 2025, weeks after the Eden site discovery, an unprecedented series of blood-red sunsets were reported across parts of the Middle East, Africa, and even the American Midwest. NASA attributed it to high-altitude dust from volcanic eruptions, yet none of those eruptions matched the chemical signature in the air. Meanwhile, a well-respected Bible scholar in Jerusalem pointed out something chilling. The Hebrew calendar for 2025 marks this season as a Shemitah year, a year often tied to divine reset and judgment in Jewish tradition. He warned that the re-emergence of Eden could signal the beginning of a prophetic countdown leading to the rebuilding of the Third Temple.
And then came the geopolitical tremor. Less than a month after the Eden discovery, 3 world powers announced a secretive summit, not for war, but for heritage preservation in the Middle East. Yet leaked documents suggest the summit's agenda included plans to seal off certain archaeological sites indefinitely. Why now? Why this site? For those who know prophecy, this is no random chain of events. Every sign, from the pure water to the strange light, to the encrypted warnings, feels like a clock striking closer to midnight. The question is, midnight for what? Every great revelation in history meets a wall of resistance. The discovery of the possible Garden of Eden was no different. and the opposition came faster than anyone expected. Within days, satellite images of the site vanished from public archives. Search results that once showed high-definition shots were replaced with low-resolution, cloud-covered images. A government spokesperson in the region claimed it was for security reasons, but whistleblowers insisted this was deliberate censorship. Then, in a move that stunned researchers, several leading archaeologists who had been working on the Eden project suddenly withdrew their participation. No explanation, no interviews, just silence. Rumors spread that they had been offered huge sums of money or issued quiet threats. At the same time, major world religions began releasing carefully worded statements. Some dismissed the site outright, warning that chasing after Eden could lead to dangerous theological distortions. Others demanded full control over the excavation, insisting they had the spiritual right to guard its secrets. The result? A battlefield of belief. And lurking behind it all, investigative journalists pointed to one shadowy name: the Custodians, a little-known coalition of political and financial elites rumored to control access to ancient sites and biblical artifacts. According to leaked memos, they fear that confirming Eden could destabilize global power structures, challenge accepted history, and even ignite conflicts over sacred territory. But suppression only fuels curiosity. The more the opposition tightened its grip, the more ordinary people began to suspect there was more to this discovery than we were being told. And in hidden corners of the internet, encrypted files and leaked drone footage began to surface, painting a picture the world was never meant to see. What could be so dangerous about a garden, unless that garden holds the key to the end or the beginning of everything?
The leaked files weren't just images, they were messages. Etched into stone, carved into pillars, and woven into the very layout of the site were symbols unlike anything archaeologists had catalogued before, and yet they felt somehow familiar. The first photograph showed an intricate spiral design, with 4 rivers branching outward in perfect symmetry. Experts recognized it instantly. It matched the biblical description in Genesis. A river watering the garden flowed from Eden. From there it was separated into 4 headwaters. The names of those rivers? Pishon, Gihon, Tigris, and Euphrates. The ancient map on the ground matched the flow of those rivers exactly. Except one of them no longer exists today. In another image, strange inscriptions lined the walls of a partially unearthed structure. They weren't in Hebrew, Sumerian, or any known ancient script. Linguists spent weeks decoding them and came back shaken. The translation read, "The place where heaven kissed earth. Guard it, for the time will come when man will seek to enter again, and the sword will be lifted." Even more chilling was the discovery of a massive stone gate buried in sediment. The gate was sealed shut, with what appeared to be scorch marks along its edges. On the keystone, a single symbol was engraved, a flame surrounded by wings. Biblical scholars pointed to Genesis 3:24. He placed on the east side of the Garden of Eden cherubim and a flaming sword flashing back and forth to guard the way to the tree of life. Who built this gate? Was it a warning or a lock to keep something inside. Some claimed it was proof that Eden wasn't just a paradise, it was a place of divine power, sealed away to protect the world from what lay within. And then came the most haunting detail of all. A series of markings, visible only under ultraviolet light, stretching across the garden's perimeter. When digitally enhanced, they formed a sentence in ancient Aramaic. When the last river runs dry, the gate shall open. What could that mean? And if the droughts spreading across the world continue, how soon will that prophecy be fulfilled? The world didn't have to wait long for the warnings to take shape. Within months of the site's discovery, weather patterns began to shift in unsettling ways. Satellite images revealed that one of the ancient rivers mapped at the site, the Gihon, was drying faster than scientists had predicted. And in the same region, an earthquake struck, exposing more of the buried structures. The new fissures revealed something impossible: perfectly preserved fruit seeds, fossilized in crystal. DNA tests showed a genetic structure unlike any modern plant. Botanists whispered what others dared not say aloud. Could these be remnants from the tree of life itself? And if planted, could they grow again?
But as soon as the news leaked, governments around the globe tightened their grip. The excavation site was declared off-limits, sealed under military control. No more photos, no more updates. The official explanation? For preservation and safety. But those on the inside told a different story. That the seeds had been removed, taken to a secure facility, and that something else had been unearthed along with them. Anonymous sources described a vast underground chamber beneath the site, lined with gold and strange crystalline formations that seemed to emit light on their own. In the center stood a pedestal, empty, as if whatever once rested upon it had been removed long ago. Then came the event that sent shockwaves through the faith community. A leaked audio recording, allegedly from inside the chamber. In it, a voice could be heard chanting in an unknown tongue, followed by a deafening sound, like wind and fire colliding. The clip ended abruptly, but one phrase was repeated over and over. The way is being prepared. Across the globe, Christians, Jews, and even secular researchers began to draw the same chilling conclusion: that the opening of the Eden Gate wasn't centuries away, it had already begun. And as droughts worsened and political tensions rose in the Middle East, one question burned hotter than all the rest. Who will control Eden when it's finally revealed? There is a passage in Genesis, one many overlook. After Adam and Eve were driven from the garden, God placed cherubim and a flaming sword to guard the way to the tree of life, lest they reach out their hand and take and eat and live forever. For thousands of years, humanity has been kept from that path. But what if, in our hunger for knowledge, power, and immortality, we are forcing the gates open ourselves? What if Eden is not simply a lost paradise, but a divine boundary we were never meant to cross again until God Himself makes the way? As whispers of the Eden site spread, a strange pattern emerged. Earthquakes near the region were increasing in frequency. Unexplained lights had been reported in the night sky, hovering over the excavation zone. And in 3 separate countries, pastors claimed to have received the same dream. A river running red. A voice crying out, "The hour is at hand." Could it be coincidence? Or is this the moment when prophecy and history collide? The moment when the flaming sword is lifted and the final chapter begins? Some say the garden's return will be a gift. Others warn it will be a curse, that whoever controls Eden will control the future of humanity. But Scripture is clear. The true restoration will not come by the hands of men, but by the return of the King. Until then, the choice is ours: to chase the gates of Eden with human ambition, or to wait for the one who holds the key. Because the way to the tree of life is opening, and when it does, there will be no turning back. The countdown is almost over.